Is everyone here have participated in the community practice? How many people have hit the little raise hand button, which you should find down at the bottom there? Yep, people have participated in the community practice before. I see a few there who have, or a thumbs up. Excellent. One of the things we do, we've got a membership of approximately 500 people across whole of government. This is a forum for emerging facilitators, for experienced facilitators, for professionals who are looking at how can we use the tool of facilitation to better do what the APS does. There's federal, state, territory representatives, and it's even a way to bring in free of charge this expertise from outside of the APS to help us inform how best to use the tools of facilitation. What's important to note is that if you are coming from the public service, there's someone who's given you permission to attend, right? Someone has been able to be a steward of public service capability and has been able to serve the best interests of the public service. Specifically, and this is an important one to note, specifically, the APS Act, the actual legislation in which we work under, says that in the Constitution and the role of the SES, that leaders in the APS need to promote cooperation within and between agencies, including to deliver outcomes across agency and portfolio boundaries, and by personal example and other appropriate means, promote the APS values. And this matters. If you are attending due to permission from a delegate, you need to thank them because they're being stewards of the APS. They're enabling you to participate and hopefully bring stuff back, but show them your appreciation, right? Show them your appreciation by keeping them in the loop about what benefits you receive from the community of practice. Ask them what challenges they're facing in facilitating outcomes, and bring those challenges back to the COP, back to the community practice, so we can draw on them. And you can draw on the database of all the knowledge that we collectively have, and use your discretionary effort to bring the benefit of good facilitation back to your area, to serve the outcomes of you and your teams. We're today going to be looking at a lot of facilitation, specifically around this real feather in the cap of the community of practice, which is we've got people from the Facilitation in Action Conference, the IAF's, Oceania's Facilitation in Action Conference, coming to Canberra and actually coming here today. Some of them are on the line already. This is due largely to the foundational work of Nick Houseco and the subsequent tireless efforts of Jamie Nichols, both of who have really driven by their passionate knowledge of good facilitation and how it has a central role in the capability of what the APS does. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is bring some of those folks who are presenting. If you're presenting, I see Andrew on the line, I see some other names. If you're presenting, can you, yep, Gabrielle and Anna, Matthew, if you're presenting, what I'd really like to listen to is hear something from you on what are you going to be presenting at the conference, and why is attending at the conference something important to you? Raise your hand by your name there, and I'll call on you individually.
Sorry, James, could I be rude and hijack slightly? Because my role with the conference is the overall process for the presenters and the structuring. Could I give an overview of what's actually on the line? Okay, so for everybody, Dave Lavers, I'm a certified professional facilitator with the IAF, and basically got certified in 2013. For this conference in particular, I'm actually focusing on the process of how the conference is running as a whole, and particularly supporting Steve McGuinness, for who's sort of running the program to bring this in place. And I'm hoping to make it a really great experience for all the presenters who are going to give you their content details shortly. We're using the tool Mural. Now, the Mural tool, Mural is one of our platinum sponsors. And we've actually got Mural. I know a lot of you have used Mural, and Jamie did a lot of work getting Mural up and running within his department. But we've actually got an IAF conference Mural platform. So Mural has come to the party and set up a platform. Now, what we've done, we're developing the Mural itself that's going to essentially act as a conference app. So the Mural conference app, and you basically live the experience of the conference through using Mural. And in it, there'll be a landing page that you go into Mural. You'll have all the details for all the presenters. So each presenter has their own Mural page in it, and it's all coming together and nicely configured. So you can see it on your iPhone, you can use it on your device. So you'll be able to use the full features of Mural. And it's from a security point of view, it's a closed group. It's the conference piece. So that's where Mural is. Mural will allow us to host all sorts of things supporting presenters and that give you a really good experience at the conference. The second tool that we're going to use, and it will be housed in Mural, is Eventbrite. We're going to be ticketing each individual presenter's sessions. So that will actually should be able to get an email out at the end of or the middle of next week that gives the full details of all conference attendees, the normal sort of thing you get prior to conference. Say, hey, you're coming to this conference and this is your session. So James, I've got to tell you, you look really good on your conference banner that's been designed for your session. So it'll case of they'll be through Eventbrite, people will select their tickets for where it's going in, and that way we're controlling. We've got an element, we'll put a limit on the number of seats for the presenter. So if any presenter says I can only have, for example, 20, we can restrict the tickets, but we can also control that across the 3 venues. So in the conference itself, at the Pavilion Hotel, we've got 3 different rooms. We've got the 4 Seasons room, which is a big room which splits into 2, which becomes 4 Seasons A and 4 Seasons B. And then we have the Forest room, if you've been at the Pavilion. So each of the presenters will have a good space to use the room. And the final thing that we have, we're using the tool Slido to do evaluation. Now, so each of the presenters for yours, at the end of your session, there'll be a standard tool that we've had some good work to prepare the evaluation, that each session will get an evaluation. There'll be an evaluation for sponsors, an evaluation for everyone's experience overall at the end of the conference. So essentially, I suppose, James, from the point of view of the process, they're the things that we put together. It's pretty exciting because on the mural side of things alone, it's never happened before like this with mural. I'm pretty confident that people, by the time they finish the conference, one of the experiences they'll come away with as well is you'll be seeing some of the things that you can do with mural, how it supports your facilitation process. So it was a conversation I had with Anna yesterday, just talking about how you need to do. You just concentrate as a presenter on what you are going to do and what you're going to present, but we're actually aiming to try and maximize the experience for everybody through using mural as a tool to support the process. So really that's the key parts, James, that I've got to give an overview of the conference from the facilitation process point of view. We've got a cracking good conference that's shaping up from the 15th to the 17th of May. And if you're not registered, guys, get on board and do yourself a favour and look at some of the stuff that Andrew Huffer has been posting on LinkedIn, which is pretty awesome. Final point, one of our platinum sponsors, Visual Storytellers, are graphically scribing on 2 of the rooms. And we also have the 3rd room, the Forest room, where there's a number of graphical facilitators who are there as well, a bit of a freelance piece. We'll have that operating in the Forest room as well. So good things are happening.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that, Dave. And there are some good things happening. I might quickly share the screen and show the program schedule, then go back to some of the facilitators to tell us a little bit about what they're doing and why they're attending this conference. This is the program schedule, right? We're able to see there's some pre-workshop sessions by the Arbinger Institute looking at that outward inclusion workshop, part 1 of 2 in the morning of that first day. We've got Leonie and Craig doing a session on facilitating participant engagement, Matthew looking at sketching, Gabrielle looking at the 6 events. There'll be a break. There's some really good facilitators across the first day, across the second full day, and then even down into that 3rd Wednesday. As we're looking to, one of the things I want to note in the beginning is that there is going to be the Nick Hausco Award recipients. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And there's the evening activities, drinks, networking, dinner suggestions, and things. I think this conference is going to be an opportunity. It'll be my first facilitation conference that I'll be attending as well as facilitating at. But I'm really looking forward to meeting some of these people, some of them on the line here, but meeting them face to face and getting to just rub elbows with some of the best of the facilitation community within Australia and Oceania. Let's look. Who wants to go first as far as talking about what you're going to be facilitating at the conference and a little bit about why this is important to you? Yeah, Gabrielle.
Yeah, I'll go first this time. So I'm Gabrielle Martinovich. I've been facilitating for over 15 years. I do work with government quite a lot, but also community and education groups. And my session is actually a story session. It's about moving beyond data and using stories to engage groups. And it's an interactive session, what I call serious fun. There is method in the madness, and it's a really good energetic session that helps you get past traditional formats of introduction in group settings. And then you can get into the deep work from there. So hopefully you'll join me and I'll see you there. And the reason I'm going to the conference is similar to what James said, just that in-person thing, being in a group of facilitators, that continuous learning, learning new techniques, and just, being with the tribe, really. So yeah. That's me.
And you're on the first day, I think at 1:30. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of the first sessions. Yeah, and there's a reason for that too. So you've got to come to find out.
I love it. Thanks for that, Gabrielle. Yeah, Matthew.
Thanks, Stephen. Hi, everyone. My name's Matthew Magain. I'm from a company called Sketch Group in Melbourne. We do graphic recording. And the session that I'm going to be leading actually competes with Gabrielle. So I feel like I've got to give a big pitch now for you to make your choice. But I'm going to be arming you with some sketching skills to ramp up your facilitation game. So I'm a huge believer in the power of using visuals to engage and explain and facilitate. It really is a tool. And I know for a lot of people, the idea of drawing in front of a crowd is really scary. And possibly at the moment, if you're using a flip chart and some markers, it might be limited to just very basic rudimentary diagrams or bullet points. I want to give you the confidence to take that to the next level. So we're going to do some basic drawing of shapes and objects, and then we're going to move on to drawing some faces and figures, and then combine those objects and those figures to can depict more abstract concepts that you can then, the goal being to build up your visual vocab so that when you're in the moment and you've got a concept you want to explain or something, a theme comes up from the group that you'd like to capture, that you can feel confident that you've got the visual vocab to be able to capture that on the flip chart for the group. So the reason that and I should say that my session is 90 minutes long. It's basically a condensed version of a full day workshop that I normally run. So we're just going to have a little kind of snippet of some of the beginner stuff. If we have time and the group is able to keep up at the pace, if we manage to get through the content, what I really would like to do is finish with talking about visual templates. So what I mean by that is the idea of being able to draw a mountain or an island with a boat and some kind of ports along the way, and using that visual template in the moment to facilitate the conversation there and then. So the reason why I'm coming onto the conference is partly because I'm a graphic recorder first and a facilitator second. So I'm definitely, like I have some facilitation experience. I've done some training, but I'm definitely not an experienced facilitator. So I'm just gonna immerse myself in all the learnings, but also I'm on the lookout for facilitators to partner with. Facilitators are a huge chunk of our client base. And so it makes business sense for me to be part of this community and to get to know people and figure out, you know, who might be open to the idea of partnering with a graphic recorder, and who are the people that I like and would like to join forces and partner with. So that's me.
That's excellent. Thank you for that, Matthew. And you know, one of the great things with these things is that, one, we can absorb so much knowledge from the people in the room, and there's so many great facilitators coming, but also we can find not just folks that we want to work with, but ideas and things that we can take back. And as the community of practice for public servants, it's an opportunity to learn what's out there in the industry, in the field, and how can that benefit our work as public servants in what we do to facilitate positive outcomes for the government of the day in Australia. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Can I just give one last point before I be quiet and we move on? There is another sketching session on the second day. Julia and Kylie from Tasmania are going to be talking about graphic recording as well. And we have connected and made sure that we're not going to be overlapping too much. And so basically I'm going to be covering a bunch of basics, and they're going to be talking more about how do I work well with a graphic recorder? What are some of the ways that I can harness someone who might have more experienced visual skills so that we can work together to make the facilitation experience awesome. So I've told them I'll arm everyone with the basics, and then they can build on the basics to take things further. So the two sessions will complement each other nicely.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Matthew. All right, Anna.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks again, James. And to answer the questions what and why, I'm going to just go back a little tiny bit and say thank you for your recognition of country. My first role, who I am first is human, and human first, right? And just acknowledging all of that beforehand. Thanks to another thank you to to those people who make it possible for us. And yes, they are government, our seniors. And my first role as a formal facilitator was as a reconciliation action plan facilitator. So that was a very privileged space for which that I occupied, and I recognise that. So just to cut short that what I'm going to be doing and why it's important, my session is about getting real with ourselves, and it's about who we are being as humans and what gets in the way when we are facilitating. So for me, it was clearly confidence, and that used to come up for me a lot, and I'm very clear about what it is that got me stopped and why. And it comes a lot from our past selves and where we're going to. If you're really interested in getting an authentic sense of who you are as a facilitator, and you know that you're connected to something beyond yourself, you know that you are making a difference and committed to that with other people, then that's the sort of person whom I would love to serve. Because getting real with ourselves, the inside facilitator, the small F, let's say, is going to make it easier for people that you serve to get on board and like literally to facilitate, to make ease for others. That's and I remember you must do a pitch. Pitches. I'm going to just ask Matthew specifically. I'm really keen to have a visual storyteller come support me in the forest room. It sounds like a great space to hang out. And I don't know what the process is for allocating who's where, but I worked to serve natural places in my past. So the forest room is a perfect backdrop to where I can have conversations about you as a tree, and there's lots of beautiful visuals that I can provide. So if anyone's interested in coming as a support person to graphically facilitate that, I'd be very welcome to partner you. Yeah, no, thank you. And thank you, Chris. And also I would really love it if anyone is interested legitimately in coming, no matter where you are in your journey. I know that it took me a long time before I put my hand up and called myself facilitator. That's a big enough step. So yeah, be grateful to see you there.
That's excellent, Anna. And your session is on the second day, right after the break at 4:15, I think, getting real with ourselves as facilitators. And that's wonderful. Do we have other facilitators from the session on the line who are, if you could raise your hand? Stephen, I see you've taken yourself. You're in the car as well. Hopefully not driving.
I'm not driving. James, thank you very much. Look, I'll be short and sweet. I'm contributing to 2 sessions at the conference. The first one is that lovely dilemma that you get around starting to appreciate what to do when you realize the agenda you've been given isn't fit for purpose, and the challenges that poses both to the group and to you as a facilitator. So that should be really interesting. And the second session I'm part of is the principles and practices of Gestalt and how you bring that into your facilitation experience, exposure, practice. And it's an experiential session. You'll be learning lots of things about yourself and how to apply these Gestalt practices and principles to your work. So looking forward to seeing you there.
Looking forward to seeing you. And that Gestalt session is on the second day, it looks like, at 9:15. That sounds really great. What are some of the reasons why you're coming to in addition to facilitating those sessions, what's something that you're hoping to get out of the conference for yourself?
James, I attended my very first IIF conference back in 2015 in Melbourne, and I couldn't believe that this community even existed. It's just an amazing group of people, very generous, happy to share, and I've been the vice chair of the IIF basically ever since. And it's just been a great community to be part of. So I just want to keep giving back.
That's great. Thanks for that, Stephen. I see some other names on the line, but would anybody else like to speak up? If you're not facilitating, even if you're just attending, or if you are actually behind the scenes helping to make all this happen, can you put your hand up and talk a little bit about what your role is in the facilitation and what you want to hopefully achieve through attending it? Andrew, yes, please.
I thought I'd share what I've learned from a previous conference, actually, because it's stuff that's stuck and I use regularly, and I think it's just a really great tool for people to try. So this is a bit of a kind of a freebie for everyone, just to share some of the stuff we've done. So just wondering, James, if you would allow me to share my screen. And it comes from a fellow called Sam Kaner, Kaner, who's based in San Francisco. He came out to one of the IAF conferences in the past and does some really good community at work type programs. So if you're really wanting practical type stuff, Sam and his team do some fantastic work there. And he gave me a model that I've used quite a bit. And it's, he calls it, I think it's called the triangle of facilitation. I think I can think of a better name, but anyway, we'll go on. But it gave me some sense of the things I need to balance as a facilitator when I'm both designing and running my sessions. And that's trying to tap into the diversity of the participants there, both from background, from a cultural, age, experience and expertise background. It made me think about giving people the time to do their thinking. And that's especially important now in that online space where we're working now, where sometimes we're really rushed and we really just need to put the brakes on to give people time to do their thinking, and also making sure we're delivering outcomes and outputs. And so that's helped me to think about who's going to be there, how am I going to help them be part of the workshop experience that I'm designing and running, and how do I make sure that they're given every opportunity, not necessarily the obligation, but every opportunity to be part of that, making sure there is some space within each session and between sessions, before and after sessions, for that time where I'm not talking, someone else is not talking, and someone's not playing music. They have the chance just to chill. And the final part is to make sure for the pragmatists like me that there's outputs all the way through, that people get a sense of, yes, we've made a step here, we've made progress, and we're moving forward. So I found that to be a really good model, just to help me shape up process, but also to discuss what a client's looking for, and also to work through a session to make sure I've got, is that triangle in balance? Is it a bit out of skewed? If that is, that's fine, just to make sure that everyone's getting their piece of the action. So I just thought that that's the sort of thing that I think people can expect when they come, is some real practical tools that they can take away and apply. And I picked that up, it's probably over 10 years ago now, and still utilising it to this day.
And it's such an important thing too, isn't it? To be able to allow participants to have that space, that time for thinking, calculating out what that diversity is. And that's a useful tool. Look, it's an excellent resource, I think, an element of professional development to enable you to network, to hear from others, find which facilitation techniques and tools and tips resonate with you, and use a lens of how can this be useful to take back, not just for my own facilitation practice, but also for my team, for those that I work with and those that I serve. It's a really important component of what we do, and what we do as facilitators matters because it can bring effectiveness to those we serve. It can help them do what they do better. There are a number of sponsors for the conference as well, which is a great thing because it gives us an opportunity to see new technology. It gives us an opportunity to see new techniques and ideas. Mural, the Arbinger Institute, visual storytellers, graphic gear, espresso displays, the CCS Corporation, which produce cards, Think Place, Peak Global, and Session Lab are all sponsors helping to create this Facilitation in Action conference, which is a really good thing. Those that are attending, have you looked at that program schedule? What are some of the sessions that you're planning on attending? Mitchell.
Hello, and apologies I can't put my video on, but my small computer is struggling. But yeah, I'm really keen to attend, and I just suppose it's an opportunity here to say I really appreciate that with the support of the Nick Hausco Award, I'm able to come and join you all. And as someone who's trained in philosophy and has just come into the public service and the graduate program, I am really keen to see how these sorts of new ways of facilitation fit in with old models. And by old, I mean Socrates, because he was one of the first facilitators. And I happen to have been trained by a professor who was an expert in Socratic dialogue. And so his way of holding a conversation space was powerful, unique, and very old, but still relevant today. And I'm keen to see how that plays out here. And so I'd love to connect with you all. And in terms of the question you asked, James, about what sessions we want to attend, really keen for the Gestalt session, because Gestalt psychology is so amazing for being in a space. And I've just got my PDF open of the event. I think that's one of my favorite ones, but I'm also interested in Indigenous informed facilitation practice, because that's something we all need to think about right now. But yes, I'm keen to attend.
That's wonderful, Mitchell. And again, I strongly encourage any attendees who are looking at either stepping into their authentic facilitation identity to also think about, well, what am I going to bring back to my organization, to my team, and how can I do that in a way that helps bring the benefit of this conference? How does it multiply that back for my team who can benefit from the lessons that I learn when I attend? Andrew, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I'm thinking of going and looking at Graham Miller's session, but keen to hear from him what he reckons, what he's going to bring to us.
That's excellent. And Graham's session is on that second day, Tuesday at 3:45.
Yeah, and he's here right now. Could maybe give us a snapshot about that.
What do you think, Graham?
What a beautiful introduction, Andrew. That was non-scripted, folks, by the way. But thank you very much, and apologies for joining late. I was, as many of you would have been, I was on a previous call, a Teams call. So yeah, my session on day 2 is facilitation and the 3 horizons model. I was first exposed to the 3 horizons model at the AFN, the Australian Facilitators Network conference in Brisbane, I think in 2019. And I thought, what a fantastic model. So I went out and bought the book. It's Bill Sharp, 3 Horizons, and I've used the model a number of times with groups. And the model looks at 3 perspectives. So Horizon 1, Horizon 2, and Horizon 3. And unlike other models that sort of look out, you know, here we are now, where we want to get to, those 3 perspectives are alive and well concurrently. So there is Horizon 3 is the distant horizon, but there's bits of Horizon 3 happening here and now. So I'm really interested to see what people's perceptions are of looking at facilitation. And facilitation has really undergone a supercharged change in the last 2 years, like many other things. I was not on a Zoom call 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever it was, and I was never facilitating other than, you know, in person with a whiteboard. So facilitation, the future facilitation has been supercharged in the last few years. Where's it going to go with AI? With is it going to be mainstreamed in you know, facilitative approach? As Mitchell was talking about, you know, we're going to adopt a Socratic approach to management leadership, so that facilitation just becomes, you know, a part of who we are and what we do. So that's the sort of stuff that we'll be talking about, and I'll be fascinated to know what the outcome is, because I haven't got any of those. I've got perspectives like everyone else, and it's about joining those perspectives together. So that's day 2. But wait, there's more. On day 3, I'm joining up with Catherine Lloyd to do an open space session. Again, another really interesting technique, open space, and I'm sure many of you on the line have experienced it and have heard about it. But again, that's you know, that's another sort of Mitchell's Socratic approach to facilitation, where the group in the room will determine the issues that get discussed, and the people in the room are butterflies and bumblebees, and they move around to. We might come up with a few issues, and because we're on the last day, in fact, it's the last session of the last day, we'll probably put to the group, having gone through Monday and Tuesday and this morning, what are some things you really want to still explore? And so that group will determine what those issues are, and again share perspectives on that. So who knows where that will go as well. So it'll be interesting.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Graham. And that session with Catherine Lloyd's at 10:15 on that second day on the Wednesday, and your sessions on 4:15 just after the break on the Tuesday. Also, I have a question for participants of the community of practice. What are some things that you'd like to see at the conference? Now, the set is already there as far as who's facilitating, but it may benefit those facilitators who are on the line to hear, why are you attending? What are some of the things you want to see? So any of those members, we heard a little bit from our Socratic friend, Mitchell, but we're keen to hear from others. What are some of the things that you want to see in the conference? If you could raise your hand, that'd be great.
Well, thanks, James. Look, I'm more of a visual person, so I'm a huge fan of Matthew's presentation that'll be happening. So I've worked in I'm here in the Department of Agriculture, so I work with Nick and Jamie, and trying to grow my visual facilitation practice more than the actual facilitating. But I think there's a real benefit here in us for getting together visual people and also people who actually do the presentations, because I think there's a real opportunity to work together. There's so much information being given to all of us all the time, especially participants, and I'm in the public service and been participants in many facilitation meetings and seminars, that I really see a benefit in the visual side of it coming together and working together. I think there's a real opportunity there, and I'm a bit nervous about the program with all the facilitators popping up in the Rosetta saying these are going to be their presentation, because I'm looking at the program at the same time. And I'm thinking, now, question for you, James, then, are they being recorded? Because there's a clash here, because I want to go to two at the same time. This is going to be challenging.
Yeah, look, it's a great question and a really big dilemma for us. And because this conference is called Facilitation in Action, we've made a conscious choice not to record, because you need to be there to experience facilitation in action. It's not a webinar. You don't get any value out of watching something after the event. This is about you being in the event and getting a sense of it.
I like that answer. And there's some real power in experiential education, the experience being the thing that helps embed some of that lessons, and then how you can textualize it and apply it post-event.
Well, what do you do about the fear of missing out on something really important or valuable? What you do is you buddy up with someone who attended that one, and you both share what it was like for each of you. You do co-sharing. Perfect answer.
Share those lessons, and I would say share it through a dialogue with that other who attended. So find out what did they learn, why was it important to them, what resonated with them, reverberated in their experience. That's a great answer. Wonderful. I see that there's some stuff. David, you're looking at the practitioners of deep listening and its power for transformation. Would you feel comfortable to share a little bit more about that?
So the past 3 months, I've been finishing an industry placement as part of my counseling certification. So I've been taking a very interesting journey from studying as a policy officer out of university, trying to be, when I was trying to become an academic, then left that and became a public servant, then I became this thing called a designer. The stuff that I'm really interested in is the human stuff, because anyone that tries to design anything with any integrity knows that if you think technology is going to solve your problems, you don't really know what technology is, and you don't really understand your problems. That led me in part to explore counseling and getting a certification in that, because I could also see how often it was that even if you had 6 people in a room, there were their shadows and their mums and dads and all their traumas and everything else that were also making some very interesting decisions in the room, and not just the face that was in front of me. And whenever there was an opportunity to help people disrupt themselves without it being obvious or clumsy, it was always a better result. And it wasn't even it was an indirect thing. It wasn't even about the thing we were working on, but it just meant that people could clear a path. And that led me to start to think about how do organizations listen. I know that there's been some very interesting work done out of the UTS in Sydney around listening organizations, and the particular academic who I can't remember now. Anyway, he's done some really good work with the UK public service. So I'm really interested in how how we can bring the shadows out of the shadows in a facilitation.
There are still really good listeners within the public service. One of the best book, I'm a bibliophile, one of the best books I've ever read on consultation is this one, which is Towards a Whole of Community Engagement.
Oh, okay.
It's a practical toolkit, the best public service published document I've ever read on what consultation is. It's by the old Murray-Darling Basin Commission before it became the authority. You can still get it online PDF, but that deep listening is really important. And I'm sure you'll find some stuff at the conference to help scratch that itch. I know I would love to have a conversation with you offline on that, because that's an area that I'm passionate about as well. So that's really,
so look,
really
networking, getting back into, I guess, is important to me. If I can convince the powers that be that I should attend. We'll see how that works out in the next couple of days, because I've just come back from that long service leave piece on, I'm finishing my placement. I think it's in that connection, and just the interesting fact that this is the first time that facilitation has had such a prominence in Canberra. If not Australia, I don't know if we've ever hosted it before more broadly, but I'm just really interested in that, what that means for the capability, because it's severely underutilized.
I've just put a link in the chat bar on the Facilitation in Action website. There's a specific page called Why Should I Attend? And some of the benefits of why you can attend from anyone on the line. The benefits of attending this, not from, I'm going to say, a sales pitch perspective, but from an authentic human being on the line, regardless if you're facilitating or part of the conference or not. What's the benefit here that would help create an argument for people to attend? And for myself, I know that when the public service has fallen down, it hasn't been because of lack of technical prowess. It hasn't been because of lack of policy experience. It's been because of someone's egoic arising, preventing them to collaborate effectively. What facilitation does is it helps smooth that path so that delegates in the room just have time to think, to listen. They don't have to manage the show and control things. It can help meetings run more effectively. It can even help like secretariat work be more effective, but definitely process-driven work or learning-driven work. What are some other thoughts on the line around benefits? If I'm thinking about attending, but I haven't yet gotten that delegate approval, what's an argument that helps create a compelling reason for my delegate to say, yes, you can go to this conference?
I think similar to what I shared before, for me, it gave me some practical tools. And I think with that comes confidence. And especially for I do a heap of work with state and local government, and in having confidence to engage equitably with stakeholders confidently, and knowing that they've got a process that they're confident in and will come back again, I think works really well. Like, I know we're sort of moving into the stakeholder engagement overlap there. That certainly, I think with senior managers having that confidence, and government a lot of times about managing risk, that we can give the people who are whose confidence we need, we can take to them to say, listen, we've got some tools here, we've got a process here, and the people we're trying to engage here are going to walk away confident that they had full opportunity to participate in that process, whether that be internal or external. I think from that perspective, that's really valuable to pick up. And also having people, James, you mentioned, rubbing elbows with people. I think there is that other opportunity that you're not alone. And, obviously the community practice is a ripper for that, but it's also that opportunity to be able to get on the phone, drop an email, send a text to somebody to say, listen, I've got this coming up. What are your thoughts? Can you give me a hand here? So I think there's some of those practical things that you'll be able to pick up that it's a unique opportunity.
Yeah, and it is unique. I mean, it's right here in Canberra. So if you're located in Canberra, it's a great opportunity. Yeah, Matthew, you've got your hand up.
I don't work in the public service, but if I was trying to convince someone of the worthwhile nature of attending this, I'm just constantly amazed at the scope at which facilitation skills can be applied. I just, you know, it's such a lifelong, useful, broad skill base that can be applied when teaching, when running meetings, when giving pitches, when collaborating with people, when negotiating with stakeholders, when parenting. I mean, there's just so many useful tips that I've gotten out of the handful of short facilitation courses that I've done and the opportunities to apply them, that I just think, you know, it sounds like hyperbole, but I think being a good facilitator does make you a better person and a better collaborator. And yeah, I'm really excited.
Great. Thank you for that, Matthew. Mitchell, you've got your hand up, and then Graham.
If I can piggyback on the back of that, if I was to try and convince someone why to come to this sort of conference, from what I've just heard today, the humanism of it, and as you sort of said, Matthew, it makes you better in all aspects of life. And many of us are coming here in our work professional roles, but really it goes beyond that. And I mean, if you look at like past civilizations and how their public service interact with the world, like the Chinese Mandarins or the Athenians and their democracy, it was about the entirety of life. And I see that here with like all of these different aspects that have been brought up about deep listening. David was saying about listening to past intergenerational trauma and about, you know, families. And then there were people talking about all sorts of things. And so I'd say as public servants and people who want to celebrate the human or a humanistic perspective, that's why you should all come.
Great. Thanks for that, Mitchell. I agree. We are authentically us no matter where we are, when we are, where we are. So I like that. Graham, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, James. Look, why I'm going to this conference and why I've been to other ones is, for me, my experience is most people become facilitators by accident. They're doing a job and then somehow they just end up, you know, running a thing, and then they do another one. And so it's an accidental task. And it's a solo occupation for most of us, certainly is for me. I'm really looking forward to co-facilitating with Catherine on Wednesday, because I don't do much co-facilitation. So you fall into it by accident, you do it alone. How the hell do you know what you're doing? How the hell do you improve? How do you, and it's more an apprenticeship than a university degree. It's something you can read lots of books. So, you know, the path of the facilitator is an accidental opportunity leads to some ongoing work. You might read a few books. I've done a couple of courses with Dale Hunter over in New Zealand, which were really great, and Bob Dick up here in Brisbane. So you do some courses. But then what do you do? So coming to a conference like this, it's just amazing to be able to see what other people do that you've never thought of before. That's what happened. That's where I heard about Three Horizons, for example. So, it's about professional development. That's why I'm going.
Yeah. And look, you're correct. Like, so often people facilitate alone, but if you can get the opportunity to co-facilitate, if you're at the public service and regardless of if at state, territory, federal level, even local level, if you can facilitate or co-facilitate with someone, you just learn so much. It is an apprenticeship. But very much like you said, Graham, there are so many books out there, so many resources, and you can tap into and grab the ideas and the techniques from to enable you to become a better facilitator, which enables you to be a better servant leader to those you serve. It's a really wonderful opportunity. I'm conscious of time. There's only about 3 minutes left in our hour-long community of practice today. Is there any final questions or thoughts, things that you want to share about the coming conference, or even about the community of practice, things that you'd like us to see covered in subsequent sessions that will be running throughout the year? Yeah, Mitchell.
in this community of practice, I've just joined, so maybe this already exists, but is there a place to share links to these other resources? There'd be some great books mentioned today or something like that. Just a page to share this, maybe a mural board.
I like that you brought that up. We're looking at building a website for this government facilitation community of practice. And on that website, we'll have, we're looking at having pages that'll have links to resources, upcoming sessions, past session recordings, things that can be of benefit to facilitators, no matter where you are within the public service. So that's a great idea. Well, look, folks, it is right on 12:30 by my clock. I really appreciate all of your energy, your time, enthusiasm. This community of practice is a vibrant one. I know we've only had about 25, I think, on the line at the tops, and now down to 17. So it's been a smaller session today, but it's an important one. And I really look forward to seeing you all at the next community of practice. And I look forward to seeing you at the conference. Find me out. I've got 2 sessions that I'm facilitating, one with Jamie on the community of practice piece and one on my own through my business, The Insightful Path. I look forward to seeing you. Thanks so much for attending today. Bye now.
Thanks, James. Thanks, James.